Listen up, because I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the Wayfare Tavern.
Touring the brand new Wayfare Tavern at 201 Pine Street, San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Zoe, a wedding photographer based in San Francisco, and today I'm taking you inside one of my favorite reception spots. If you are planning a San Francisco City Hall wedding and you want a reception that feels warm and intimate and elevated, this is one of the first places that I tend to recommend to couples. It is by far the most popular choice for receptions after City Hall. With the recent move to the new Pine Street location, it has lost none of its charm. Who this venue is for. Wayfare Tavern is an especially good fit if you are hosting a smaller wedding or reception, usually in the 10 to 80 guest range. If you are prioritizing really good food and a relaxed but polished atmosphere, if you are looking for entirely indoor spaces, or you are drawn to darker, moody interiors rather than bright white or light-filled spaces, or looking for something that feels like a classic San Francisco restaurant. It works really well for both lunch and dinner receptions. Overall vibe. The overall feel of Wayfare Tavern is cozy, old world, and slightly eclectic. You'll see deep jewel tones, dark wood paneling, vintage style lighting, velvet seating, patterned carpets, and shelves filled with books and curiosities.
Just the ambiance, the way that it's so chill, the way that the decor has been designed so thoughtfully, the artwork that you can see on the wall behind me. This was part of the old Sequoia Room at the old Wayfare Tavern. I love that they have retained some old touches while keeping things fresh.
There are small and thoughtful design details everywhere you look. It definitely has more of a maximalist feel. It feels a bit like a cross between a San Francisco tavern and like a private library. It's definitely on the moodier side in terms of lighting and color, which many couples love for a more intimate and grown-up feel. Second floor main event spaces overview. Most of the wedding activity happens here on the second floor, and this is where we are going to begin our tour. At the top of the stairs from the main entrance and the main dining room, you have the Sequoia Lounge, which functions as a bar and lounge area. Directly connected to it is the Barbary Room, which is the main and the largest dining room. On the same level, you also have the Juniper Dining Room and the Juniper Bar. For many weddings, Sequoia and Barbary work together as a pair for cocktail hour, then the lunch or dinner reception, and Juniper is a great option for smaller groups. Sequoia Lounge. Let's start with the Sequoia Lounge, which is one of the signature spaces at the Wayfare Tavern. This is a semi-private lounge with its own large bar, lounge seating, and space for guests to mingle.
I'll show you the bar behind me. This is the main bar in the Sequoia Lounge.
It works really well for cocktail hour, welcome drinks, or for a more casual standing style reception. For a seated setup, it can accommodate a smaller group of up to 18 at the long tables, but where it really shines is as a gathering and transition space. Guests can get drinks, socialize, eat some nibbles, and spread out here before being invited into the adjoining dining room for a sit-down meal. In terms of guest count, it comfortably works for up to 65 people in a cocktail format. The dark wood bar, leather seating, and directional light give it a very classic San Francisco tavern feel.
That was the Sequoia Lounge. Now I'm going to take you to the Barbary Room.
Barbary Room. Right next to the Sequoia Lounge, and in fact adjoining it, is the Barbary Room, which is the main private dining room on this floor. The room is fully private with doors that can be closed. It is typically used for the seated meal portion of the wedding. The space is set with long rectangular tables and can accommodate up to 50 guests seated or 65 for a standing event. There is the option for a bar setup in this room as well, and it includes a mounted screen if you wanted to play a slideshow or video during the reception. For many City Hall weddings with guest counts in the 40 to 65 range, the classic flow is cocktail hour in the Sequoia Lounge, then the seated reception in the Barbary Room, which can include toasts and speeches, and then guests drifting back and forth and mingling as the event goes on, which can include cake cutting. Together, these two rooms give you a dedicated bar area and dining room, which makes the event feel more dynamic and less cramped. For larger guest counts, such as this wedding with 85 guests, the entire space was opened up, so both cocktail hour and dining straddled the two spaces. Juniper Dining Room. On the same floor, but slightly separate, is the Juniper dining room. This private area works well with small to medium-sized groups. One unique feature is that it has its own private entrance from street level, so guests can be brought directly up by staff without going through the main restaurant. The Juniper dining room is typically set with long tables and can host 30 guests seated or a slightly larger group if it's a standing or mixed format. It's a good option if you want a private space, but don't necessarily need a built-in bar in the room itself. The decor is consistent with the rest of the restaurant, so rich tones and framed art and a cozy, intimate feel. Juniper Bar. Adjoining the Juniper dining room is the Juniper Bar. This is a smaller, more intimate space with a central round table and bar-style setup. It is ideal for very small groups, welcome drinks, or as an add-on to the Juniper dining room, so your guests can have a dedicated place for cocktails before or after the meal. For a seated meal, it works best with around 10 guests. In a standing format, it can host up to 20 people. A common setup is to use the Juniper Bar for cocktails, then move everyone into the Juniper dining room for the seated reception. In that configuration, the combined space can accommodate up to 40 guests. Second floor buyout. For larger events, it's also possible to book a full second floor buyout. That typically includes the Sequoia Lounge, the Barbary Room, Juniper Dining Room, and Juniper Bar as one combined event space.
So here is how this might look. You would have the Juniper Bar, and then these are the adjoining doors. The space that I'm in right now is the Juniper Dining Room. And just through these windows is where you can see the Sequoia Lounge. And you'd also have the Barbary Room, which is just over here. And this is the Barbary Room, and you can just see the adjoining doors, and everything would, of course, be open.
In that configuration, you can host significantly larger groups with a total seated capacity of 165 and standing receptions of up to 200. A buyout gives you exclusive use of multiple rooms on the second floor, meaning the celebration happens across distinct spaces rather than in one unified room. Cellar dining room. There is one additional private event space. It's on the first floor and it's called the Cellar Dining Room. This room is just off the main dining area and looks into the wine cellar. It is fully private and works well for smaller receptions. The capacity is 30 guests for a seated meal and 50 for a standing reception. It has the same dark, cozy feel as the rest of the restaurant, but the second floor rooms generally offer a bit more flexibility and feel a bit more special and dressed up for wedding receptions, which is why most people gravitate upstairs when the space is available. Exterior and portrait options. The corner location and the striped awnings, large windows, and cafe-style restaurants give you a classic city restaurant look. The facade now wraps around both street sides, so you have more angles to work with than at the previous location. The main thing to be aware of is that both Pine and Battery are busy streets with constant traffic. Your photographer will need to work in between traffic light cycles and passing vehicles, and I'm normally photographing from the other side of the street. It works best as a quick portrait stop. Cuisine and menu structure. Wayfare Tavern's menu is built around elevated comfort food with a strong San Francisco influence. For private events, you can expect many of the same dishes as the restaurant is known for, including their fried chicken and the warm popovers that almost everyone mentions and are really, really divine. Menus are typically offered either family style or as plated meals, depending on your group size and which option you choose. Family style is very popular. The menus change seasonally, but examples of dishes that often appear on the Wayfare Tavern's wedding menus include deviled eggs, salads, rustic pastas, roasted meats, seafoods, vegetable sides, and desserts like panna cotta and their signature brownie. The overall feel is generous, flavorful, and crowd-pleasing rather than overly experimental or formal. Photography considerations. From a photography standpoint, Wayfare Tavern is a darker venue. Most of the rooms have windows on only one wall, which means the natural light is very directional. The walls and furnishings are also in deep tones like browns, reds, and blues, so the overall exposure tends to be lower than in bright, neutral spaces. For candid moments and portraits indoors, this creates a dramatic, contrasty look, and flash photography is a must. It can be very beautiful, but requires a photographer who is comfortable working in low light and using flash effectively. If you're drawn to bright, airy photography, photography, this space will not photograph like that. If you like moodier, more atmospheric images, it can work as long as your photographer has the right approach and equipment. Pricing and logistics. In terms of pricing, Wayfare Tavern uses a food and beverage minimum model for private events with per person pricing that starts in the mid-range for San Francisco. Rates vary based on whether you are booking lunch or dinner, the day of the week, your group size, and whether you reserve a single room or a larger portion of the floor. There are also standard additions such as tax, service charges, and a San Francisco mandate fee. So you will want to review a detailed proposal from their events team to understand the full picture. Most private room bookings are based on a 4-hour event window with the option to extend for a longer booking if you need more time. Wayfare Tavern is in the financial district, so it's a short drive or a ride share from San Francisco City Hall. Parking in the immediate area is all garages rather than street parking, especially during weekdays. Because Wayfare Tavern is a busy restaurant with a high volume of private events, response times can vary depending on the season and how far out your wedding is. I always recommend giving yourself extra lead time and being clear about your priorities when you reach out. Final thoughts. Overall, I genuinely love Wayfare Tavern. It's the reception venue that I have shot the most at by far. It's a really strong option for couples looking to host a reception, especially if you do care about food, atmosphere, and having a dedicated private space for your guests. If you want to see more real weddings here, I've linked my always updated blog post in the description and pinned comment below. You can also find out more information about City Hall wedding photography and my team's services in the description.